First, we check the temperature of the water to ensure that it is at least 70 degrees Celsius. Next, we will add the rest of the water phase, which includes Zimea and Caltrol CG Soft. We premix the xanthan gum and the Zimea to wet the polymer, as it will not go into the water by itself. While you are waiting for Phase A to mix, if you would like, you may begin heating Phase B. Both phases must reach an internal temperature of 70 degrees, meaning that they are isothermal to each other. You may wish to increase the speed of your propeller as you add the Zimea and xanthan gum, as it will thicken the water. Now I will begin heating the oil phase. If you would like, you may begin this much sooner than I did. Once your oil phase begins to warm up, you may begin adding some of the liquid oils. And then once those mix in, you can add the waxy oils. And then once those melt and become uniform, and both phases have reached a temperature of 70 to 75 degrees Celsius, you may add them together. For the purpose of this demo video, I chose a smaller batch size. If your batch sizes are larger, you may very well need to use a propeller to mix your oil phase. As you can see, I just used my hands. Now I will add the Coco-Glucoside to the oil phase. So what this will do is to help build the viscosity of the final lotion. Also, it will provide some conditioning and some cleansing power. Now I will add the Jeechem GMS-450. Next, I will be adding the Stearyl alcohol to the oil phase and mixing until uniform. Next, I will be adding the coconut oil. Coconut oil has a fairly low melting point, so this one should go in pretty easily, as should the Shea Butter, which I will be adding last. I will now add the Shea Butter. Now I will ensure that the internal temperature of both my oil and water phase is at least 70 degrees Celsius. Now that both of my phases have reached an internal temperature of 70 degrees Celsius, I will begin adding the oil phase to the water phase. As you can see, a nice white emulsion has been formed. You may wish to increase the speed of your propeller as the emulsion may become thicker. To ensure uniformity, continue propeller mixing for at least 15 minutes while maintaining temperature. Once it is mixed for 15 minutes, remove from heat and begin cooling while propeller mixing. Now that the solution has cooled to below 40 degrees Celsius, I will begin to add the preservative and active ingredient. Now I will add our technology, the HydroSal Natural Antiseptic. You may notice that this will change the color of the emulsion from a nice white to a bit of an off-white. As you can see, our technologies can be added to an emulsion at the end of the process with very little trouble. Now, all that is needed is a pH adjustment and you have a finished formulation.